It is my great pleasure to introduce to you two very, very gifted filmmakers, Patricia Rodrigues and Joanna Nogueira, the directors of 3, 14. Welcome, Patricia and Joanna. It's really great to meet the both of you.
Hi.
So, before we start talking about your extraordinary film, I wondered if you wouldn't mind talking about yourselves a little bit, giving us a little bit about your journey and how you became filmmakers that you are today, and specifically maybe talk a little bit about your love for stop motion and why it seems to me, anyways, that why you so intensely want to tell stories that matter to the world.
Wait. You can start.
So my background, it's in fine arts, and then I start to teach arts to kids and young people, and then I start to do some characters in sculpture at home by myself, and then it happens the passion for stop motion with these sculptures, because I was thought that maybe I can put some movement, I can put some life on these characters. And after this process, during a couple of years, I met Patrícia in our master in animation and illustration here in Portugal, and you decide to make our first short film. So it was around 8 years ago.
Was more.
8
Was
years.
more.
Was
10.
more. 10 years ago. So.
Was it 2012, 2013?
We start the master in 12,
but in 13 we start the idea of our first
around
film
10 years
together.
ago. So nowadays I divide my process, my work, between ceramics and between stop motion movies. And this film 3,14 was our third project together.
Yeah.
But we do a lot of projects with education
workshops with kids.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. I started as a graphic designer, and for me it was very boring when I went to the world starting to work, because I needed to just work for the clients. And when I gave like good suggestions, thinking about the brands and who was selling, they didn't like. They just want what they want. So I felt like this is not what I want to pursue. And I was always doing little animations. Also in graphic design, I tried to make stop motion in some videos or trying to sell through animation. So I decided to come join this master when I met Joanna. And I always felt I just want to learn how to do animation and be a technique, just work in a technical position. And I always say by mistake, we end up being directors. She wanted to do characters, and you wanted
puppets.
To do puppets.
I really want to learn about puppets, how to construct it, and develop my characters like this, like a puppet for stop motion.
Yeah.
So
I really wanted to do animation.
Yeah.
So
we missed the narrative, we missed the story of the things, and
we had but we always had the things that for us was connecting us, the way that we see the world and the way that we think that are issues that needed to be seen and told. So our first film, not this one, was as well about the issue that old people that are alone, and we want to tell the story of them, and in a different way, with a different image that is more appealing for the youngest. And this one we had success with that, because starting to go to schools, and was very, very good for us, because also we were going with the film to the schools, and we can explain animation, but also we can explain more about
society, about our condition in the world, or about
or that issue in particular.
Yeah. So I actually want, I think you touched upon something that's really, I would like to get to the heart of both of your souls in some ways, or is that you always seem to be choosing to do issues or things that should matter to the world. And I was wondering whether you could give us a little insight on why would you choose to do this and not choose something like Hollywood films. I said it. You know, like why do you care?
Why shouldn't we care? We care. It's something that speaks with us. If we are doing a film, it's not just for us, it's for the others to see. It's for touch. This at least is the way I feel. I teach in the school with high school kids. I teach animation, and I always thinking about that they need to speak about issues that touch others and touch the things that they care about. And for me, what I care about is about this difference, is about what I see in the daily life that I feel that are not correct, and I want to change. And I think it's the same for you.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's something that if it is a thing that is important for us, that is a question for us, maybe you can share it to the other people by animation, using animation. So it's because of this. Yeah.
Let's start talking about your amazing film 3:14. Okay. I think, okay, so I was trying to do a little bit of research on it. It's a new film that's come out, right? And I think it's been described as an inner journey through the universe of children diagnosed with attention deficit disorder, also known as ADHD. Why choose this topic? Why was making this film so important to you?
Okay, we can start by when we did our first film together. We starting to go to schools and we start to work in workshops with kids. And we noticed that here in Portugal, the teachers all the time were telling to us, oh, that one has a diagnosis. That one as well, that one takes pills. Or, you know, after 4 p.m., these kids sometimes get very agitated. And we're starting to speak with each other about this. And more we are going to schools, more we were noticing these behaviors, these conversations around the kids, and around the potential that they should give in the workshop for us. Because also we do workshops, animation, they draw, they do animation with us, and also they have topics, and we always try to bring and talk to them. So then we had this idea, and
because it was a thing that we realized that it's growing. It's with the passes of the years, we found more and more kids with the same diagnosis. So maybe it's why this is happening. Why what's wrong or not? We don't know.
You were questioning.
Yes, and we try to understand them. And also the kids know. The teacher sometimes said, that kid is not very good or is not going to give, because they label. We know how it is. So, and sometimes these kids in animation or in these workshops that are very open or different, they give more and they show something that usually they don't give in the classes of Portuguese, mathematics, or
I think they felt like they felt free, and they are very creative. So yeah, they give more to us, to the exercise of animation, of the drawing or the painting, than the other kids, because they are more motivated. Not organized, but
I don't know, but they are more motivated to do something different, because they really want to change. They need these new drives in their lives, like to do something different.
So are you saying to me that when, like, I understand, like when you walk into a classroom and you have a teacher who will give you an explanation of certain profile traits of certain kids, and that is first a little bit off-putting, I imagine. Is that what you are sort of saying? And that to some degree, they are being labeled in a way that perhaps is unfair or inaccurate, and that perhaps medication isn't the solution to these children. Is that sort of what you're trying to express?
We know that it's difficult to navigate because I understand that each kid is different and each profile of neurodivergent will be different, but sometimes the medication can be not the solution. Depends of each situation. But I had a thought. But
the most of the time the solution is the same for everyone. So
I think we need to explain a little bit, like here in Portugal, because we have here in Portugal, the kids that we work, because the film, then we starting to do workshops in work. There is a name in work, like in schools, to do the research for the film. And what we understood is that the more rich you are, sometimes you are more medicated because you need to be more focused and have good grades to go higher. And more poor you are, you have less attention for the parents or less structure, social structure at home.
Family,
yes, less family structure. This is what And also the school doesn't know how to deal with them and send them to the psychiatric or the doctor, and they are prescribed. And sometimes they really don't have ADHD. These places, sometimes they really don't have ADHD.
The most of the times they have a lot of problems in family, social,
economics,
and sometimes they take pills for
the others,
ADHD or something, but it's another problem. It's something that it's wrong with this kid, and it's not.
And the school doesn't have. The school doesn't have an answer, at least here in Portugal. We are speaking about our
context.
Our context. And the school doesn't have a solution. And it's easier to have in a class of 24 kids, imagine 8 years old, having the 2 ones that are misbehaving, just medicated and calm, for the other ones can't learn. But what is going to be of these 2? We are not helping them.
I would clearly say to what you're saying right now is very similar to my own experience in Toronto, Canada as well. It is a very difficult topic to tackle. I would say it's very similar. I too have taught children, actually special needs children. So this issue is actually close to my heart as well. For your film, I think that your title cards in the beginning of the film was very, very eye-opening for me, or very interesting. And you had basically said, in the context of Portugal, is that it is one of the most diagnosed neural development disorders in childhood, and that it's estimated that this condition affects 3 to 5% of children and young people. And that in itself becomes a pretty big business, because there's, quote unquote, from your film, 288,000 packs of drugs that are sold for treatment. I imagine that is something, when you did your research, that really helped to motivate you to want to make this film.
I think it was, we start with these things, with the workshops, and we realize these things, and then we start to research, and we discover more and more things that motivate our goal with the film. The purpose of the film.
Also for us, this film was a journey. Was a journey of 4-5 years. And also we change in this time, because we start to research, then we get a little bit of funding, and then we need to wait for the other part of funding. So got time, and we grow with it. We grow with the idea. Like our first our first, I can say this open, like our first idea or topic was just to focus how medication is not good. And then we starting to realize that there is not black and white. That is a gray area, and and we need to address other issues. And this is why the film grow in other direction, that we try to go a little bit aside of the medication, but in the end of the production, we decided to make a point again in the beginning and in the end.
Let's talk a little bit about the style and structure of your film, okay? So your film starts off very seemingly like a regular sort of documentary with images and a little bit of voiceover, but then it quickly becomes something else. And I feel that the story structure you created was very interesting. And it also felt very magical at times, but it was also very challenging too, to try to piece things all together to try to make sense. But don't get me wrong, I loved this. I love this style of filmmaking because it's actually asking me to think and question things. And I also thought that it was very, very brave of you to choose this structure of filmmaking, because potentially, because it's a much more difficult journey, that that the audience might not be able to take this journey because it's harder. So I want to know why you chose the style, how you came up with it, the theory behind that. I think it was wonderful.
Thank you. This was a journey, I already said before, to us to do this film. And the film was more, in the beginning, we wanted to think like, we don't have ADHD, me and Joanna, and we try we research the condition, and we always are in the superficie, in the, I'm sorry, I don't know, I forgot the word in English, but we are in the, not deeper, like in, not border, but like in
the spectrum?
Not this word.
The cusp.
Yeah, the cusp, like in the skin. We're still in the skin.
We're still in the skin. We're still in the surface? The surface?
The surface, yeah.
Yay!
Yeah. Sorry. So now
no, I'm sorry.
Rewind a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
So we are not directly diagnosed with ADHD, and we have people that we know, but we still on the surface of trying to understand how they think and talk and behave. So we in the end we end up with stereotypes, but this is in the end when we have a list of
behaviors.
Yeah, a list of behaviors.
Symptoms.
Yeah, symptoms. They end up always in this. And for us was easier to make a profile of each one that are a bit different, because we have the boys that are more active and they are more hyperactive. Then we have other part that is usually the girls that are more with deficit attention, deficit attention. And always sometimes there is in between other character, and usually is a boy as well, that it's like he feels and plays from his body, like he doesn't understand how he misbehave, or he cannot understand how the others perceive the way he behaves. Like he doesn't understand him in the world. So this was the three characters. And we needed to put these stories together, but in that way that they don't link, because we wanted to make separate worlds and very different from each other, because they are from different spectrums of the same problem. This was something that we end up in the first storyboard.
But in the start, our first storyboard, it was like this, the different characters, but we cut it a lot, much more than in the end. But
because we wanted this structure that's very cutted, because this
sometimes
is
confusing, but then we want to bring you to the same place in the end. But in the start, it was very, very, very cutted, and then we start to connect more here and there. But in the end, is it cutted as well? But
I think we try to make in the middle, like not too much cutted, and not too much
to balance.
We wanted this way,
the utopic thing,
and also we did interviews with kids before, because this is an inner journey. Because of that, we did interviews with kids, and the interviews were not very well recorded, and also we couldn't understand very well how they explain things, because of they cut the phrases, the way they speak. They also are not able to have a full conversation that we could understand well, and we got inspired from that to cut the film. But because the interviews were inspiration, and the ways that we learn and teach to the kids, and also we in the beginning we did the research, how they see them, how they seem as an object or other idea, and we use these characters in some places in the film, like some things that came from this work that we did in the beginning, they are explaining like in film.
I had wondered whether I was almost certain that for sure that you interviewed children for this, but I was curious to know why you only used some of their voiceovers and not, because it's very different from your other film about the people living in the care home, right? That that was all their voices, and this time I thought you actually on purpose chose not to use so much of the children's voices, and I thought that was wonderfully done. I really thought it was wonderfully done.
I think we in the beginning we start in the same idea from the first. When we started doing the interviews, we understood that we are not able to use, and we spoke with our producers, and we had like two ways. We could do again the interviews and try to conduct them in a way to hear what we want to hear, if you understand, making the right questions, having the goal of the film that we were already having in animatic, or we could just go without interviews. And this was actually our decision. We didn't want to go with interviews, because what is the commentary? The commentary is our view, is our point of view,
and also if we control the conversation, the voices will be not genuine like the first one. So maybe it's better to take the first conversations and go working about this, and don't create a new thing, more controlled. And decide to use it like an inspiration, to create our point of view.
But we always had in mind that this was a more bold decision. Because of that, it's harder to connect, because there is no voice to connect all the way in the film. And also it's very cutted, and also makes hard. But was our decision that we make the both of us, and we did.
And I will say again, I thought it was wonderful film language. Because it did tell the story. And I think just from what you were saying to me, that it actually personifies the children themselves. The way you've decided to cut the film together, it actually personifies the experience of the children themselves in terms of how they interviewed for you. You did that filmically instead in 3:14, which I think was wonderfully done. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of the wonderful imagery that you had decided to put in there, which which is great. Like, so And how did you come up with this imagery? So I'm going to just list some things. And I want to hear from you what your logic is or how you came up with this idea a little bit more. So let's see how where that takes us. Okay. So to me, the roller coaster was a perfect beginning. Then there was the butterflies on the wall that's framed, transitioning to the classroom, which again, amazing. And then there was the glass scenes. And I will let you know I'll let you know what I think about the glass scenes. The first images that came to my mind, and I don't want to make you say something, like I want you to say your words, right? But I had these images of like what this glass thing meant, and then what it became at the end. So I thought maybe you could talk a little bit about those imagery, and if there's something that I haven't mentioned that you are really proud of an image, please share your thought process for that.
Okay.
So I can begin with the roller coaster. The roller coaster, this is a metaphor that is used as well, how the brain of a kid with ADHD actually functions. And we had a girl that we spoke with. I remember her name, but I'm not going to say because it's anonymous. And she said, I always feel that I'm running, and I never stop. And this, because we did in the first storyboard we did of the film, we had voices before, and we inspire on that voices. So this was what she was saying. I'm always running, and I know I cannot stop. And this we portrayed in the roller coaster. And it's like we are always going. And in the end, there is these two, at least I see that way. Sometimes we don't see the same things in the same way because we are two different people. But this is like our life, us as a spectator, because we are in the roller coaster, we never stop to look. And on the other hand, we have the kids that never stop. They cannot stop. And we need to understand these two realities. This is why I started with the roller coaster. The butterflies,
The butterflies, the butterflies, because the robot, the character, lives in a place with many objects. And then it's like a cabinet of curiosities. So one of the objects could be the butterflies that are still stopped, still organized. Like it's a relation with the classroom, because in the classroom all the tables are in the same line, in the same grade. So
and they are all pink.
And we want that the kids are stopped, are with attention, are every time. So it's a long journey, one day of classes. So we thought that maybe there is a relation with this frame with butterflies, and transform it to a classroom with all the kids very organized.
I remember when we started to speak about the film, Joanna became with this idea. This was her idea.
Yeah.
And I remember you said something like, we collect from the nature and we want to just pin and be quiet or kill because it's beautiful. And we want to do the same with the childhood. And I remember you saying that. And this was an image that started in the first script and came to the film. And the glass scene.
And the glass.
The glass was a lot of things. In the end, was a glass room, but portrays the mind in the end.
Yeah, it's like the kid is closed in a space, in an infinitive space, but it's closed. And
because of the medication. That's the point, though, because of the medication, right?
Yeah, and
or am I wrong?
Inside the mind of the kid, and
he has closed there because of the medication.
Yeah, he's closed there because of medication, but he has to live just with the reflection of himself. So, and he tried to change something, but then there is like a fight between the reflection and the feeling that he felt. So it was a big challenge, all the technically, and also the concept of the thing.
Yeah.
I
It's a
did.
mixture of glasses and paper with the glass effects for don't have reflections everywhere.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. I will say, I did think the glass was like a brain. I felt like it was the inner mind of this child who is currently taking medication and is living within this enclosed realm that this medication has placed him in. And that he is attempting to be creative or use his imagination, because there is those wonderful the 2D aspects of this film. And so I thought that was what you were trying to do. At least from an audience perspective, that's what I got. Let's talk a little bit about the 2D, because I think it was very effective. I always like to know about the filmmakers, how they, like, I know you used this in your previous film as well, but I think for this film, it's extra special. It's got a different layer, an extra layer in why you employed 2D. So could you really talk a little bit about that process and what it did for the film?
I feel that in this film it's more connected with the stop motion, because we really need the two universes to understand the story on this film.
But was something that we spoke in the beginning, like we want to stay still using these two techniques, and this time the 2D needs to be more giving an extra layer of narrative. And the extra layer that is more intrusive. I think that was something that we knew that we wanted to use.
And what was that narrative? Sorry, what was that narrative?
In the classroom.
Yeah, the whole concept of you using 2D. It's another narrative in your film, right? There's the stop motion. So what was that narrative?
Idea. Okay. So it's more clear in the classroom that we wanted to give this aspect of, if we take the 2D, we have these perfect kids, and we have the 2D, we have what they desire to make doing while they are in the classroom, and how we start to portray as well our childhood and where we were in the classes, and the things that we are always imagining to do. And these kids are just normal kids. We don't want it. Sometimes we just wanted one kid. Okay, I think.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
I'm being complicated. I want to say, like, we have a child that doesn't have a 2D animation in the classroom, and this one is the one that is medicated, and what we are
going inside
of her and see the mind as well. She is in other world of imagination, has the guy in the classroom, as the kid in the class, in the glass room that we spoke before. But what we wanted to say in the classroom is that the other kids that should be preserved as normal, that there is not normativity, they as well, the mind wanders, but wanders more outside or wanders in other ways. Yeah, and this has these two layers.
Yeah, the 2D, it's very related with the imagination, the feelings, because they are the kids, they are normal, are in the classroom staying stopped, but then they want to play, they want to do something more than being sit on the chair. And the kid with medication, the medicated kid, it's in another world completely different than the reality, the stop motion, the physically. So the 2D we use it like this, like the mirror kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 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 I thought it was incredibly effective in showing the two different worlds, and that clearly I felt that that you were trying very hard to present different realities of the children that were there. I felt that that the the 2D sections were the more magical, more free, more like the what ifs kind of realities of these children. And
Yeah.
it actually, when I was watching that the classroom scene, I felt, yeah, I would like to be a teacher of a classroom where these kids are able to be children, just be who they are, right, as
Yes.
opposed to what the butterfly frame sort of personifies in what some societies feel that a classroom should look like. To me, a classroom should be thriving and pretty and loud and boisterous and kids smiling and enjoying themselves. And I can imagine that's probably what happens when they are doing your animation workshop, because they're allowed to be, what's the word? Free to imagine, something like that.
Yeah, and also we allow them sometimes to get up and see images and grab references, so they are able to move around. And we are kids that like to draw on the wall, and we give a paper and
On
they
the
draw.
window. So.
Yeah, and I think for them this is good. They are not all the time still like in the desk.
Yeah, that's actually, it sounds really wonderful. I mean, okay, so like in a classroom technical sense, basically you've made an accommodation for them so that they are able to participate, because even though they want to draw on a wall, you've said that's no problem. Here's, take a piece of paper, put it on the wall and draw. Do we need medication because of that? I don't know. I mean, I think that that's,
Yeah,
I don't think it's that. This is being a kid.
yeah,
yeah,
they are
And
kids. They are not
and they are
adults with,
different.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, as adults, we like to. I think in the end, our goal with the film is to accommodate the difference. Like, just be aware that is different, and will be difference between people, and we are not the same and not productive in the same way. And the school, at least in Portugal, is very orientated to be productive, to go with the goals that the teachers need to teach. And this is difficult for the teachers that have this impact from the director of the school, that you need to go and to do all the thing all the way. And for the kids that need to learn very fast, that they are not able. And because of that, there is not time for play, there is not time to be who they are. And in the end, I think this is our message or our goal when we present the film and we want to speak about the film. Just try to make a conversation around it, around all the system. I know it's a lot, but at least make a conversation with people in the system of education, and try to have new ideas to implement. In the end, is that what I feel that is needed.
I do want to explore that a bit further at the end of our conversation, but I wanted to bring to your attention this quote from one of the children in your film, and it says, and I thought it really encompassed your film in all its complexity. And I'm going to read the quote to you. I feel it right away when I'm medicated and when I'm not. I feel like I'm quieter, much calmer. So I'm not. I understand that medication does help some children, help some people in general, right? But there's also something to be said about what this child says. Is the fact that this child is very conscious that there is this foreign substance in their body that is affecting them, changing them. And I wondered if maybe you could speak a little bit about why you chose this quote and what it represents for your film.
I think it's strong, the quote, exactly because of you are saying, because the kid he knows that he's medicated, and he learns that the medication makes feel more quiet. But he's a kid, so it's necessary to be more calm. It's necessary to be more quiet. Maybe we have to ask why the kid is more agitated, or what happens, why your behavior is like this, and try to make another activities, try to make another things with this kid, and he can learn the topics of the school in different ways, maybe, or not, or of course need the medication. But I think this part, this search for another ways of teach, it's something that we don't have time to do it. So the film, it's also about time, about the time. It's so fast that we don't have time to do things that are very important for our growing, our development. So I don't know, I think I'm feeling very lost right now.
No.
But
No, not at all. I mean, the whole thing I'm thinking about is I think you're questioning the education system and how it's delivering its service to these children who might not look exactly like what is defined as an ideal child or an ideal student in a classroom. And I think that that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah,
And
because
also,
the recipe is the same for every kid. So we are every different. So it's our special thing. So
Yes,
and we have to learn how to deal with this.
No, but also look at all the magic that you have created because of your behavior, your particular behavior. I still have a couple more questions, but I don't want to keep you too much longer. But it's so exciting to have you here. So I want to know, and I'm embarrassed to say this, okay, is I have racked my brain about the title. Okay, I have wondered so much about this title. 3,14, and I came up with a whole bunch of ideas and stuff, but I think they're all wrong. So perhaps maybe you could speak about the title a little bit and how you came up with it.
So 3,14 in Portugal, we say comma in numbers as well. Like, I don't know, in English, I think it's points. If I say 3.14, probably makes more sense for you. Okay, so when we translate the first, in Portuguese is 3,14. And when we translate the first, we translate comma as virgula. So I think in English should be points, but we like it more the sound of comma. And the 3,14, it's the pi. It's the pi number.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I have to say, I spoke to my friend and he said, it makes me think of pie. And I'm like, okay, so what does that mean? He said, I don't know. I said, I'm going to ask them. So please explain a little bit more.
Okay. So it's the pi number because when we start the school, it's like something that we learn, but we really don't understand why. But we know, and until today, I know, Joanna knows. And at the beginning, this was like the project when it was just a little project, was like this name that we use it to name it, and then we starting to understand that actually it's not just a joke, it's actually something that should be in the title, and we kept it until the end. And it's the pi number because of that. It's something that we are taught in the school. We really don't understand. This happens a lot. We really don't understand what they are trying to tell, but this keeps in our mind, and we know that 3,14 will be the pi number, and I think in English, or at least international English, should be 3.14.
Thank you for that. I'm going to tell my friend that he was right. So we're like, wow, he got it. But yeah, I mean, you explained that so beautifully and so wonderfully. So let's talk a little bit about the ending and its semi-ambiguity about it. There is a child, perhaps, a robot, perhaps, and then it ends with all these pills. Can you speak about that?
Yeah, it's a robot, but with some traços.
Human configurations.
Yeah,
it's a robot with human configurations.
Also, it's almost a mix with the robot and the human, and she lives inside pill, but there is many pills around this pill. So there are different worlds, different boxes, and it's just to think about our box.
Like this pill is controlling the kids that inside of the world, but also this pill is controlled by a box, and in other worlds will be different worlds or different other things that we need to think about. I think it's
like the idea of the matryoshka.
Matryoshka is in English.
The matryoshka?
The Russian doll.
Russian doll.
Oh, the Russian doll, yes.
Another. So it's something like this. Yeah.
Are you sort of saying that the medication presents these different sorts of worlds that may be real or may not be real, or I'm not sure. I'm just sort of throwing that out there, but I have no idea what I'm talking about here with this one. Is that correct or a little bit off?
I think we were more simple thinking about that. There is this robot that should be the medication, the robot that manipulates all the kids. And she is the force that doesn't let them to be creative and to be what they should be, that is being a kid. And in the end, this thing that we think that is controlling everything is controlled as well, because it's inside of a box. And we need to think, in the end, we want to think that who is controlling this pill? It's all of us. And there is many pills for other things, that not just ADHD, that there is up there, and we should think about that. I think in the end it's that.
Yeah.
I think that one of the main issues here is about the rights of a child. Because obviously when we are talking about medicating children don't have the legal right to make that decision on their own. And so I think if there is an industry behind ADHD medication, and that there are so many children now being diagnosed with ADHD, that there is this challenge about the rights of a child. Do you have any thoughts about that?
I think you touched on the point that it was our first motivation to make the film. This topic of the kids are medicated, but they don't decide. They don't decide if they want to take the pill. So, and it's something strong. It's the medication. It's strong. It's not so light.
Yeah.
So it was the starting of our motivation.
And also we were speaking, and we understand that some parents, they really don't know. Like the doctor says, we do it for better. But now, after we doing the film, in the between, I started to teach in high school. I have the experience that kids say no after 16. Like they are able to understand what is better for them, and they make the step to the parents and say, I don't want this anymore.
But they start to take the pills
Very early,
young.
yeah,
So they are in development. So
Yeah. Like I'm certain the parents are trying to make the right decisions for their child. I don't, you know, it's very complicated in terms of what a parent must psychologically have to go through in order to make this decision. I don't think that parents generally want to medicate their children. And so it is a topic that is complex. And it is a difficult one, I think, to try to grapple with. And I'm hoping that most people are trying to make the right decisions for their child. I thought maybe we could end with maybe both of you speaking again about what type of change you want to do with your film, what message is you're trying to convey, and what your hopes and dreams are for this film as it does the festival circuits, and how you feel it could affect and help children.
Okay, do you want to start?
Yeah, because usually we went in schools with the other film, and the discussions about the film are, of course, about technique, about how to make stop motion and these things. But it's also about the idea, the making value of the older people, that we can learn some stories and memories much more than just with our faixa etária,
our range of age.
Yeah,
we can learn more with the older. And it was very funny at that time that kids were bringing the story of the grandparents and the granddaughters to this discussion.
And these discussions are very interesting because the kids learn, we learn also. So with this film, I think we want the same thing, the same conversation, the same discussion about this topic, and making questions like how you can do for change something. If it is a little, of course, it will be a little change on a school, but we believe that we can start
step by step,
changing step by step. Yeah, I think it's.
Or some behavior or some way of thinking in a teacher, it's already some change. And also if the kids, if there is kids that relate with one of the characters, also they can like, I feel that way. Oh, I also don't feel like, I don't like my image, or I want to change it, or I like to draw this way, or I like to stand more than sit. And we can speak like very lightly with them through a thing that they are seeing, more than just bringing ideas like from nowhere. So they see the film and we can have a conversation with teachers and
with the community of the schools.
Yeah, we can bring like around. So for us, it's important. We did this film, of course, for festivals, people to see. It's our work. It's in the end, in the last room, we made there what we like a lot of things, very manual and very the aesthetic that we did as well in the other film, and our 90s relatable things, like we have a lot of things from our childhood. So.
Yeah, a lot of toys from our childhood.
So yeah, in the end, it's artistic film that of course we want to show. And also in festivals we can bring this conversation and these topics, and it's very good that we invite us to speak, and there is other audience that can hear us, not just about the technical part of the film, but the thematic that we wanted to bring. But in the end, our goal, it's to go to schools by ourselves and make a little difference in our circle of touch, if makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
And the hopes is that as well, that at least someone says, oh, I saw your film and I understood better my students. That will be very good.